So I was in my room watching all videos, and suddenly Andalusi, Asadullah from Andalusian Project, made a claim about a very difficult argument that no one can solve. Therefore, I decided to make a short video solving this argument. I haven't seen the argument yet. It's in the second part of this video.
But it's very false. The greatest atheist argument, I put a question mark there because I want to save that for later, actually in part 2. And this argument is important for many reasons. One, most atheists don't know that they're making it. I know that sounds strange. They subconsciously, they make the argument like this. They have certain beliefs that they formed, that they've had from the previous beliefs that I mentioned, and they make a statement, which I will mention in this argument later on. And it's very effective because they shut down all conversation this way. This is how they win the argument against people who have religious belief. And the other reason it's very important is because it is the central argument that I'm going to be using in my own arguments to refute them. So I'm actually going to be utilizing this very argument that they use, which I'll display to you in part 2, okay, to refute them. So I'm going to use their own argument against them.
Ooh, how exciting. I cannot wait. Wow, you certainly know how to set up a good challenge.
And I've been working on this argument for 3 years. Yeah, I know it sounds like ridiculous. Like, why would it take so long, right? So, because believe it or not, when you're around a lot of other philosophers, you're constantly being critiqued. So you have to keep like redoing it. Oh, okay, this could be problematic, so I'll change this word. Okay, no, I understand where you're coming from there. I don't want to mess up, so maybe I'll. So you have to keep reformatting until you get it just right, where it becomes annoying to people. And a philosopher knows that they have a good argument when it annoys people. So that's...
For the time being, you annoy me with your stupidity in every video. But who knows, maybe there will be some kind of miracle. Look, Andalusian Project, the only issue here is whether I will solve this argument right away, on the spot, or whether I will take a breath and wait 10 seconds before I solve it. That's the only issue. I haven't seen the argument. Maybe I will embarrass myself later.
I know it's quite funny, but so right as of the 3rd year, I haven't had one objection to it. So I'm quite happy. I've showed it to other professors. They say it's valid, sound. So I'm waiting for somebody actually to give me something substantial.
Your wait just ended. Your wait just ended, my friend. I'm like the Messiah. I came to release you from the burden of this argument. Okay, he made this video at 2015, so it's already 5 years, plus 3 years, 8 years. He's thinking this argument. Okay, let's see.
So that's why I like teaching it to people now, because I'm waiting for somebody to tell me, no, that's wrong. Because I want to see if I can make it better, But so far, nothing. It's like a perfect Sudoku puzzle.
Ooh, I got shivers in my spine. But I must give you something, my friend. You know how to lay down a good argument. Okay, the suspension is great.
So I hope that when I share it with you, it's not patented, by the way, so you can use it. You don't have to pay me anything. But when you use it, inshallah, it'll be as effective for you as it was for me. I have counted the number of times I've used it, and in every conversation that I've used it, it's been probably almost 200 now. I have stopped the debate. And I've had a few people not convert to Islam, but they became theist as a result. So, alhamdulillah.
Guys, imagine after all this intro I made and being arrogant and so on, at the end I become theist. Imagine. Okay, at the end of this video I will say, I cannot solve it. I believe in God, and I lay down and start praying. Wow.
It's hard. It's much easier to actually to get people to become theists than Muslims. So, I know. So, okay, I believe this is the end of part 1. Okay. Session 2. Very nice graphics. All right. So Sam Harris, Richard Christopher Hitchens, and Victor Stenger basically say that religion is irrational because there's no evidence. Okay? There's no evidence. There's no scientific evidence. And at the same time, they say God is a scientific hypothesis. Right? But then they tell you that unless something can be scientifically proven or justified in a way, we have no reason to listen, basically, to understand or try to understand what you're saying. Okay? Now here's the problem. They know that a theist, or somebody who believes in God, okay, believes that God is outside the bounds of time, space, physical properties.
And that's the reason you have faith. You cannot claim truth, you can claim faith. That's why we teach theology, not in the history section. That's why Sharia will never apply to societies, because it makes political claims and it's not based on truth. It's based on faith.
Right? They know this.
Sorry, can you say?
They know that God, the concept of God to the monotheistic religions, or most religions in general, except for the pagan ones perhaps, is that God is outside of time, He's outside of the bounds of limited space and physical properties. So, what are they asking for then? They say to us, the atheists will say to us, you need to prove God based on science. But they also say that science can only be explained within the realm of the natural.
That's why we don't take religion as history. That's the reason we don't include religion in the science rooms. That's the reason we cannot ever apply Sharia in politics. Okay, where is the contradiction? I don't get it. And of course, you are talking about the deist concept here, because Islam and Christianity have revelations. Therefore, they supposedly manifest in the real world. And therefore, science can investigate those claims.
But our concept of God is beyond that. So how can we do anything?
Oh, really? Let me bring my cat to cry. Chester, come here and cry me a river. Okay, if you cannot verify yourself, that's your problem. Bad luck.
It's a lose-lose situation. It's a lose-lose situation. Until now, and this is where now I'm going to get a little bit more confident, I have developed an argument against George Smith. And nobody that I have met has been able to refute it yet. And I'm very happy to say that.
You do look happy. Can you smile when you say it?
Okay, very nice. All right. And you're probably wondering, how does this post-grad nobody sitting or standing on stage here talking about these things? Is there down there? Oh, okay, sorry. Thank you. Know how to defeat these people after several years of their popularity. And one of the things I have to say is that it's called an unhealthy obsession with their ideas. But I think I have created a defeater. And I have yet to find one of the ulama or any other Islamic philosophers.
Now, jokes aside, I admire your spirit. It's commendable, the right attitude. So, on behalf of the ancient Greek philosophers, I say from starters, Axios, you are worthy. You are already a winner, regardless if your argument works or not. Arguments are not only valuable when they work, They are valuable because they drive the intellectual process. There are many wrong arguments in history that were very valuable in the course of our intellectual growth. And this guy is commendable for making this very good effort and for his attitude.
Or such as, I don't want to name names, so I won't name names, but I'm sure you know of some dais who argue against atheism online, etc. I'm sure you know who they are. We're not going to mention who they are, okay? I know them personally. But they have not answered to this. So I spent 3 years desperately trying to figure out. I went to every philosophy book you could think of. Okay, I went and I studied from every different type of philosopher. I studied analytical philosophy, I studied existentialism, I studied continental philosophy at whole, I studied Heidegger to no degree, and Heidegger is almost impossible to understand. I studied everything I could get my hands on. And finally, I gave up. I gave up around the second, and then I came up with the argument. And so I'm going to present it to you now. Premise 1, if meaning and explanation can only be derived from the natural world, then all conceptions of reality are derived from the natural world. Okay, very simple concept. All right. If meaning and explanation can only be derived from the natural world, then all conceptions of reality are derived from the natural world. So anything that we think is real is from the natural world. That's all it's saying. Okay, I'm just being very formal. Premise 2, if all conceptions of reality are derived from the natural world, then they must be a coherence of meaningful experiences. What does that mean? I'll explain it to you real quick. Anyone here believe in unicorns? Nobody believes in unicorns? Oh, shucks. Fairies?
You want us to believe?
No, not yet. No. I'm not that good. Okay, no. Flying spaghetti monsters?
That's a good argument. I underestimated you, my friend. You are a good philosopher. Bravo. Kudos. Axios. Bravo, my friend. That's a very good argument. And yes, it irritated me because I couldn't find immediately what's going on with this argument. Now, let's go to the argument. If meaning can only be derived from the natural world, then all conceptions of reality are derived from the natural world. That's true. It's very easy to agree with that because I believe that everything derives from the natural world. Premise 2. If all conceptions of reality derived from the natural world, then there must be a coherence of meaningful experiences. That's also true. Our conceptions of reality are physical structures or logical patterns that our mind can recognize. What our mind cannot recognize and give meaning. It cannot give meaning to nothing or to chaos, because this kind of patterns, in the case of chaos, it doesn't compute in my mind in order to have the sentiment of meaning. And in the case of nothing, although we can conceptualize nothing, it doesn't give us any meaning, any sentiment. Premise 3. People believe that there is a meaningful, transcendent reality, i.e. God, that shares no properties with the natural world. That's again true. People, in fact, believe that. Premise 4. If premise 1 and premise 2, then premise 3 is a conception of reality derived from the natural world, which content is a coherence of meaningful experiences. That's again true. Our conception of God, in fact, derives from our natural world. And its content, it's in fact a coherence of meaningful experiences. Premise 5. No number of meaningful experiences can direct one to consider the possibility of something meaningful beyond said experiences. That premise is wrong. It should have said, meaningful experiences can direct one to consider the possibility of something meaningful beyond said experiences. Why not? I love my father. I can imagine the possibility there is a heavenly father. Why not? I have the experience of love. I can imagine there is an ultimate love in this world. Why not? Now, let's say your God is in a 11-dimension X factor 3 heaven type of matrix 3D dimension. Can I imagine this dimension? No. Why not? Exactly because God is a projection of our natural experiences. And your argument proves exactly that. So, the last premise, what was it? Therefore, premise 3 is not a conception of reality derived from the natural world. No, my friend. It's, in fact, totally derived from the natural world. All the God conceptions of God are anthropomorphic. We just took a human and imagined all his attributes to the extreme. We have the natural experience of power and we say all powerful. We have the experience of wisdom and we say all wise. We have the experience of mercy and we say all merciful. Okay, we just project all his attributes to the extreme. That's a total natural way of thinking. In fact, it's the definition of how humans think. A human will think like this. Okay, he cannot see the intermediate parts. He can only see the extremes. Okay, he said all powerful, all wise, all. Okay, the human mind can very easily detect the extremes. We didn't say God is 3,233.3 powerful. God is 333.200 wise. No, we said all powerful, all wise, exactly as the human mind thinks.
Flying spaghetti monsters. That's the common example used by atheists these days. Flying spaghetti monsters. Anybody believe that there's a teapot orbiting Mars? No? UFOs? Okay. Let me tell you something. A unicorn, I'm going to use a unicorn here, okay? All right. Unicorn is a meaningful concept.
Yet it's not true. How that doesn't go against your argument? Please tell us.
Why is it meaningful? Okay, unicorns, let's say unicorns don't exist, right? Let's say they don't. We don't have evidence for that, okay? But I can imagine a unicorn. It's just a horse with a horn on its head.
Exactly, and God is just a human with all his attributes to the extreme.
It's a combination of two natural things, right? So it's actually a very meaningful concept.
Try a flying horse?
Flying horse, okay. I can imagine a horse with wings. Why? Because I know what wings are and I know what a horse is.
And I can imagine a father with magic, a magic father. I can imagine that.
Right. How about a flying spaghetti monster? Spaghetti flying around, I don't know. But I understand what spaghetti is and I know what flying means. Okay, so I understand these things. Fairies, small little people with, wings. Okay, so I know what these things are. Okay, so if all conceptions of reality are derived from the natural world, then there must be a coherence of meaningful experiences. Now let me give you a non-meaningful experience. A non-meaningful experience. A married bachelor.
What?
Married bachelor. Does that mean anything?
Not yet.
Can you be single and married at the same time?
Yeah, can you?
No, I'm not talking about polygamy. Okay? No. Okay, I'm talking about the two definitions, right? They're contradictory, correct? Okay, what about a square circle? No, it doesn't work. Right? Now those two things themselves, they have meaning, right? But I can't combine them, okay?
A square circle and a married bachelor have meaning to our mind. The things that do not have meaning to our mind is nothing and chaos. But what is meaning? Meaning is a certain physical structure or logical pattern that our mind can recognize plus a sentiment. That is meaning. God is a logical pattern that our mind can recognize and can provide the sentiment. Therefore, it's meaningful to us. That doesn't mean it's true.
All right, so let's look at premise 3. People believe that there is a meaningful transcendent reality, God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that it shares no properties with the natural world. Very easy. People believe in God. That's number 3. Number 4, if premise 1 and 2 are true, that's what P1 and 2 mean, then premise 3 is a conception of reality derived from the natural world, which content is a coherence of meaningful experiences. Okay? For me to understand what I'm saying, for me to even believe in that concept, I have to, basically what it's saying based on the other premises, is that it must be a combination of meaningful experiences from the natural world, right? For me to even be able to conceive of it. Correct?
Too heavy, man.
Too heavy? Let me give you, okay. I tried to explain earlier.
Is it talking about cause and effect?
This is a trick. This is not, I'm going to get to it in a second here. So basically, in order for me, based on these premises, my belief in God must come from here. It must be natural. It must be from the world. A lot of atheists will agree with you. They say God is man-made. Right? They say that, right?
Okay, I hope you have a smoking gun, my friend. Okay, because so far you agree with us. The God concept is very intuitive to the human mind. In fact, it would have been totally weird, okay, if humans didn't invent the idea of God.
Okay. Number 5. What does number 5 say? No number of meaningful experiences can direct one to consider the possibility of something meaningful beyond said experiences. This is where the premises, this is where the argument gets effective. And this is what I'm going to say as to, this is how I'm going to defend this. I'm going to give you a simple analogy. Okay? You're a fish in a fish tank. Okay? And you're swimming around your little borders, okay, in the water. Do you know that you're in a living room? Do you have any conception of living room? Do you have any clue that you're in somebody's house? Do you have any clue that you're living in the state of Selangor?
Do you have any clue about the nature of God? Yes, you have. Only the anthropomorphic stuff. But do you have a concept of the real nature of God? No, you don't. Why is that? Now, unless you say that you know the nature of God in totality, in an absolute sense, your argument fails by your own admission. Okay, you just admitted that. Now, you can only recognize the anthropomorphic stuff you project on God. All powerful, all wise, all good, all... This is human attributes. Can you say 11 dimension, 2x qualities, it in the 7th heaven? Okay, you don't know nothing about the nature of God other than the human qualities you project on God, proving exactly the opposite of what you are trying to prove.
Do you have any clue, as a little fish in the tank, that you're living in this little blue planet, you know, in this small, in this, actually this huge galaxy, made up of billions of other galaxies in this universe? Do you have any conception of that at all, as a fish in the fish tank? Let me give you another example. My sheikh makes this example. I love this one. He said he loves the ants in his house. And I like them too, by the way. They're nice. So these ants, they always march in this linear pattern around the corner of the room. Okay? And they always do it because there's sugar at the bottom, because it's in the kitchen area. So they always grab these little bits of sugar that his wife drops whenever she's making something, right? And they just go back. He always wonders, he always finds it fascinating. He says, you know, they're wasting so much energy. If they just would just look up, they go in the cupboard, there's all the sugar right there, right? But they said, but they don't understand, they can't. Their perception is limited, right? So they have no conception whatsoever of the possibility even of that being the case.
My friend, our intellectual state and our conscious state is more than enough to project some kind of God. Okay? The completely weird, unintuitive thing is humans having the technology to set a rocket to the moon and never consider, who made me? Who made me? Okay. Imagine how weird that would have been. No human from the billion humans having the conscious state and didn't consider this possibility. There can be an intelligent superpower that made the universe. No, it's very intuitive. And it's straightforward that humans would have imagined this possibility. So, your mistake is at the last premise, where you say, therefore, premise 3 is not a conception of reality derived from the natural world. The only error you made is this not. You should have said, therefore, premise 3 is a conception of reality derived from the natural world. How on earth you get to is not a conception of reality derived from the natural world? Your whole argumentation follows that is a conception. If meaning blah blah blah, the first premise gives this impression. The second premise gives this impression. The third premise, you say people believe that there is a meaningful transcendent reality. Okay, they believe wrong, therefore. And the fourth premise says, if premise 1 and premise 2, then premise 3 is a conception of reality derived from the natural world. Okay, this also goes against your conclusion. And then at premise 5, you say, no number of meaningful experiences can direct one to consider the possibility of something meaningful beyond said experiences. Again, this premise goes against your conclusion. And then you conclude at premise 6, therefore, P3 is not a conception of reality. Why not? Everything you said so far follows that it is. Everything you said so far follows that it is.
Being the case. Okay? There's no conception because their surroundings define or contextualize the way in which they interpret the world, right? So basically the argument is this. There are limited resources, therefore we can only make limited explanations because of those resources that we have. But number 6 says this, therefore P3 is not a conception derived from the natural world. No number of meaningful experiences from this world can direct one at all to conceive of the possibility of something beyond it.
My friend, your God is more human than humans, literally. Okay? Your God is a shallow version of a human without any virtues. Okay? It's more human, the most human that can possibly be. What is his heaven? Earthly stuff, sex, virgins, wine. What is his goal? Political domination in this world. What is his spirituality? Rituals, earthly rituals. Facial hair, fabrics, don't eat pork, take the Hajj. Okay, all that are more human than human. Socrates, in comparison to your God, is more godlike. Okay, at least he's got some virtues.
Something that is beyond merciful, that is beyond powerful, that has something beyond our limited conception of intelligence.
You said 4 words now. Let's test whether those are human words. Powerful, merciful, intelligent. Those are human words, my friend. Those are human concepts. Just because you said beyond. Humans haven't got the ability to say beyond. The beyond is a problem, eh?
Okay? We cannot make an analogy whatsoever. So when we conceive of something, we believe in something, and we call this a doxastic attitude, meaning belief attitude. In philosophy, doxastic means it means like a belief attitude. Okay, so the only way you can actually believe something is if you actually have some sort of understanding. Okay?
Now, if I ask you whether you understand God totally, you will say, no, I don't understand him. So, your argument just broke down by your own admission. The things you say that we cannot conceive is what exactly? Power, intelligence, wisdom. What is that exactly?
So it has to be meaning. It has to mean something. It has to have some sort of conception. Okay? So if the natural world is the only thing that can provide that, then how is it that we're thinking of something beyond it?
My friend, you are not thinking anything beyond the natural world. Your God in your mythology is beyond the natural world. You cannot understand this distinction. Okay. Did you think 11 dimensions, 7 heavens, X factor dimension in God no, you thought intelligence, power, wisdom, and then you said it's beyond the natural world. The sentence, it's beyond the natural world, you can say that with natural conceptions. That doesn't mean you conceive beyond this world conceptions, because you said, my God is beyond this world. What are you talking about, my friend? What is the sentence beyond this natural world? Natural world. Okay? And then beyond. Those are human concepts. Okay? Imagine a human knows the word natural world and cannot imagine beyond natural world, to put an extra word in front of this sentence. Let me explain your logical fallacy. It's like saying, before the Big Bang, there is quantum time. What that means? That my mind now went before the Big Bang, and now I can speak in absent time environments. That is what that means. No, I just made a coherent sentence in the natural world.
Brainwashing.
Brainwashing? But who started the brainwashing?
Parents.
How did they learn about it?
The society.
How did the community side learn about it?
Goes back to the...
So the first person, how did they figure it out?
evolution.
How did evolution do it?
I just say...
But there's a limited number of resources. How did evolution, an unguided process apparently, determine that somebody believed in something beyond itself?
Let me guess. Fitra. Okay, this is where this guy is getting to. There is a concept in Islam called fitra. What that means? That God installed to us in our heart the knowledge of God. We have innate in our heart the knowledge of God because God made us this way. In reality, evolution favors the God assumption. We humans tend to see agency everywhere. It starts from childhood. Let Richard Dawkins explain that.
We humans are obsessed with purpose. It seems perfectly natural when we're presented with an object to say, what's it for? It starts in childhood. The psychologist Deborah Kellerman has investigated this very interestingly with children, offering them a question like, why do you think these rocks are pointy? Is it because of some geological explanation, geological cause, or is it so that animals could scratch on them when they get itchy? And below a certain age, I think it's about 6, most children answer with the teleological answer with the purpose question. Yes, they're pointy so that animals can scratch on them when they get itchy. Children then mostly grow out of that purposive way of looking at the world, but not apparently everybody.
Andalusian Project. Maybe God innate fitra to children's heart to think rocks are pointy so animals can scratch themselves. Maybe he did that also. Humans just see agency everywhere. Why is that? Let me explain. The primitive humans who heard something in the woods and thought it was the wind died out. Simple as that. That's how evolution tuned us to see agency everywhere. Because in our early state, if we didn't see agency everywhere, we wouldn't have survived. Of course, that began long before we evolved to humans. All animals have this tendency to see agency, otherwise they wouldn't survive. But don't take my word for this, test it yourself. If something moves near your feet, you immediately think snake, immediately, snake. Where in fact, it's never a snake. It's 99.999% always the wind. Yet you think immediately snake, snake. Do it, test it yourself right now. If something moves near your feet, you think snake. This is an interesting video from the Pentagon that is trying to remove the God gene. Look.
Excuse me, on the left over here, we have individuals who are religious fundamentalists, religious fanatics, and this is the expression, RT-PCR, real-time PCR expression of the VMAT2 gene. Over here, we have individuals. So let me complete. So over here, we have individuals who are not particularly fundamentalist, not particularly religious, and you can see there's a much reduced expression of this particular gene, the VMAT2 gene. Another evidence that supports our hypothesis for the development of this approach.
What you're suggesting here is by spreading this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from donning on a bomb vest and going into a market and blowing up the market.
So our hypothesis is that these are fanatical people, that they have overexpression of the VMAT2 gene, and that by vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior. So we have some very, very remarkable data in this next slide. Here we have two brain scans. These are fMRIs. These are two different individuals with different levels of expression of VMAT2. On top is an individual who's a religious fanatic, an individual, and we've repeated this numerous times, that has high levels of VMAT2. Now, this individual down here who had low levels of the VMAT2 gene, this individual would self-describe as not particularly religious. In each case, these individuals were read a religious text. This individual lit up.
In other words, Andalusian Project, there will be a surgery soon or a vaccine that can make you atheist. Okay, that's totally freaky stuff, but just to grasp how much related is the God concept with biology.
So it's Fitra?
Fitra, bingo.
What? It's Fitra, eh? Am I an oracle? Oh, yes, I am. My friend, I read your mind like an open book.
What? He said Fitra. It's good. Yes, it's basically the Fitra.
No, it isn't. It's the God gene.
But more importantly, the argument is not just saying Fitra God. No, it's not saying that. It's not saying that at all. Okay, it's saying that the natural world itself is limited. It is impossible. It is literally inconceivable. It is contradictory to be able to conceive of something beyond its own, beyond limitations.
You claim that it's inconceivable for the human mind to invent a concept like God. What? What are you talking about? Really? In fact, the complete opposite is true. It's inconceivable to think that humans wouldn't have invented God. That is the inconceivable part. Okay, I feel now I'm beating a dead horse. And now, for the karaoke. Yes, I still do karaoke. I will do it until I don't have any subscribers. I don't care. Every time I do a karaoke, I lose a couple of subscribers. So I have about 30 karaokes left. Let's make it worth. Love is a flame that can be tamed, and through all its willing prey, my darling, we are not the ones to blame. Trust is a word of lovers know, the glorious art of staining soul. My darling, we are not the ones to blame. The more we have, the more we want, and the more it hurts us. My baby, it always ends. obedience. So keep on pretending. Our heavens was waiting. Keep on pretending. It's alright. No, keep on pretending. I never stop of craving. Keep on pretending. It's alright. Ooh, come on. Rise, the one we will never win. My baby, it always ends up again. So keep on pretending. Our heavens worth the waiting. Keep on pretending. It's alright. I said keep on pretending. It will be the end of our craving. Keep on pretending. It's alright. Love is a flame that can be tamed, and though we are its willing prey, my darling, we are not the ones to blame.